Now, as we've been discussing throughout the show, Israel is facing increasing isolation on the international stage as it continues defending itself from an existential threat. There is no end in sight for the war, a war started by Hamas almost 2 years ago on the 7th of October. Several countries are planning to recognize a Palestinian state at the UN General Assembly exactly a week from today, a move Israel sees as a reward for terror, and the United States says will only embolden the terror group. Now, amidst the condemnation and criticism out of the European Union, there is a clear, consistent supporter, the Czech Republic. Prague has been a strong ally of Israel, at times breaking ranks with EU allies in United Nations votes on the Middle East. Now, early on in the war, it said it planned to move its embassy in Israel to Jerusalem, later clarifying it would do so at the right moment when Israel is not in a state of war. So now it's a pleasure to welcome to studio the Czech Ambassador to Israel, Veronika Kuchynova Smigolova. Thank you so much, Ambassador, for being here in our studios.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
So Israel on the 7th of October faced its darkest day in the history of the country. And how did the Czech Republic respond? The Czech Republic responded by sending bulletproof vests. It was vocal diplomatically, and it has been consistently supportive of Israel throughout this war. A stark contrast to many in Europe. Take us back, if you will, to the start of the war and how the Czech Republic was feeling and responding. Your thoughts, your recollections.
First, I have to say Czech Republic and Israel have a long-lasting friendship and very close relationship. And actually, on October 8th, Prime Minister Netanyahu was supposed to travel to Prague. And on October 9th, we were supposed to have government-to-government consultations. So we very much felt part of what's happening. Our Minister of Foreign Affairs, Minister Lipovsky, was the first foreign leader who visited Israel after October 7th, I think on October 10th, the first one to come for a solidarity visit. And since then, many leaders from our country came, and we are continuing to remember how the war started, that it was Hamas who started the war by the terrible crimes, by the attack on Israel, by raping, killing, kidnapping, and that there are still 48 hostages in Gaza. So that brings the perspective we are looking at the war from.
And yet the perspective that you are outlining, that moral clarity, is so abundantly clear to many, and also to others, it's a different stance indeed. So talk to us about the pressure the Czech Republic has faced specifically in Europe, given the stance that it is boldly taking.
Well, we are used to heated discussions in the European Union. Sure. Sometimes we have a majority on our side. Sometimes the majority is somewhere else. I think in the case of support of Israel, the majority is moving away from our position. But we are used to it, and it's part of the democratic discussions. So there is a pressure, but we are explaining our position, and we don't feel the need to change it.
And you talk about the hostages. It is almost 2 years into the war. 48 hostages remain in terror captivity, 20 of whom are believed to be alive. Just the fact that you yourself right now are wearing a yellow ribbon in support of the hostages speaks volumes at a time when so many around the globe have almost got into trouble, so to speak, for doing exactly that. Your thoughts and your feelings?
Well, thank you very much. I think it is extremely important to remember the hostages because it's clear to me, it's clear to, I think, everyone in the Czech Republic that without the hostages being released, there is no way the war can end. So to push for a ceasefire without saying in the same sentence, the hostages have to be released and Hamas disarmed, it doesn't make sense. It's only calling for the next October 7.
Talking of which, give us a sense of the sentiment inside the Czech Republic, the range of views on exactly that. The Israeli war strategy has garnered so much attention globally, so much criticism in many parts of the globe. What is the feeling on the ground inside the Czech Republic as this war unfolds?
First, we are special also in the sense that the support of Israel runs across the political spectrum. It's not opposition versus governments. It's not individual political parties, except of the very fringes on the far left and far right. Everybody is supportive of Israel. And I don't dare to question or discuss the strategy of war because I'm not an expert in war strategy, but the goals are clear, and I think the Czechs are supporting the goals. Although I have to say that the support of Israel is strongest with the older generations, let's say, and also in the Czech Republic, as in many other countries, the youngest generation is somewhat less supportive than the other generations.
And what would you attribute that to?
I think it's peer pressure. It's the influence of the media. They are following more than other generations. Also, they go to school. They make friends abroad, and they come back with the new ideas. So I'm not saying that the young generation is not supportive, but clearly you can see some difference. So that's the reason why I would like to bring as many young people, students to Israel to see how Israel really is, how a multicultural society, how diverse it is, so they can bring that home and to talk to their colleagues and friends.
To that exact point, is there an understanding amongst the young and the older members of the country in terms of the security alliances, the trade relations right now, and how the two countries actually do help each other already, specifically on the security and defense front?
I think there is a close understanding. There is one topic that might be a little divisive, and that's war in Ukraine, because the Czech government would like Israel to do more to support Ukraine. Otherwise, I think we are helping each other. We are learning from each other. We are buying equipment from Israel, which is very good for the Czech army. We bought radars. We are buying spiders. So that's very good. And I think there is a steady exchange of contacts between the defense establishment and the defense companies.
Before we get to that initiative that you're talking about, bringing people to come to Israel and see for themselves firsthand exactly what is happening here on the ground, there is a major vote exactly a week from today at the UN General Assembly, and we know there are growing calls for Palestinian recognition. This issue is so divisive and polarizing and especially hurtful in Israel right now. Israel clearly sees a vote like that, recognition like that right now, as the war continues, as 48 hostages are still being held in the terror tunnels of Gaza as a reward for terror. Your sense of that moment, how significant it is that so many countries are calling for recognition at this point in the war?
Well, I think it's not significant in a way that it would change situation on the ground. But of course, it is significant politically that so many countries decided to make this gesture, which I believe is not in agreement with Oslo Accords, with what everybody always said, if there is a Palestinian state, it has to come up from the discussions between Israel and the Palestinian representation. There has to be direct negotiations and direct agreement. So recognizing a Palestinian state now, we believe, does not move us closer to this goal.
And the criticism against Israel for a lack of a plan for the day after the war, as Israel continues with its operations inside the Gaza Strip, criticism over aid, which Israel explains, much of which is being hijacked by Hamas and is not getting to the civilians that it intended for. Your thoughts on exactly that?
Well, on the aid, of course, we don't want the civilians in Gaza to suffer, but we don't want Hamas to earn money from the aid as well. So I think it is important that the aid gets in, that the aid is distributed in a way that Hamas cannot steal it, and that it is able to reach basically all the places in Gaza. So this is on the humanitarian aid.
And of course, much is being made about the IDF plans to take over Gaza City. Earlier on in the show, we heard reports that the U.S. is, in fact, giving the green light for Israel to continue on its operation. Obviously, there are major risks involved, but the Czech Republic's thoughts looking at this unfolding right now?
My first thought is that Hamas could prevent Israel going into Gaza City by releasing the hostages and disarming. And they could do it every single day since October 7th. If Israel feels it has to go in to put more pressure on Hamas, it's understandable. Of course, I would prefer the war to end, to the war to end immediately and the hostages to come out immediately. Also, you asked earlier about the plans for Gaza after the war. I think the broad plans are clear from the Israeli point of view. Gaza without Hamas, and Israel, as I understand, also said that it doesn't want to rule Gaza. So there will have to be some administration, temporary maybe, but it should be discussed in more details when the time comes. It means when Hamas surrenders.
And as you said so eloquently, if Hamas surrenders and gives back the hostages, this all ends. And hopefully, when that happens, you and your initiative to bring more young people to come and visit and see firsthand, that can all happen, hopefully in the not too distant future. Ambassador Veronika Kuchynova Smigolova, thank you so much for being here in studio.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Appreciate your time.